What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Sixth Ring King Show. Jazz Santana here, joined by Paul Austria, Jock Givens, Vishnu, David Eversole, Danny Gillette, and Manny Chang, who obviously wants to bring some of the noise here into our show. Even Gillette is shaking his head already because we know what's coming. Oh, boy. Hey, before we get into that, though, ACC matchup this weekend, 12 o'clock tomorrow, as the Canes get back into action against the Pitt Panthers, 12 o'clock at Hard Rock. Paul will be on the call with Larry Bluestein over there. We'll obviously do our pregame show tomorrow at 11:30 as well, so let's throw that in there already. But before we get into some Canes Pitt talk, a little bit of let's go around college football a little bit with a lot of things that are going on right now with COVID, and it's hitting Manny deep in his heart and in his soul, as the Florida Gators had 785 players tested positive for COVID.
Does that also include FIU as well? Because now they can't play football.
It includes FIU. It includes Dan Mullen and his whole family. So
his wife is.
I think we have one commonality between both of those, Manny. Man, are you causing this?
I have no idea what's going on, man. It's like one thing after the other. But a real quick thing on that. So last Friday, a couple Gators tested positive. They didn't make the trip to College Station. After the game on Saturday, when the team got back on Sunday, trainers' phones started ringing off the hook. Multiple players, including coaches and staff, started reporting that they had the symptoms. And by Monday, obviously, we know the news broke out all of a sudden that more than half the team had COVID. It's a very unfortunate situation, but Jazz knows this. I've said it last week on Swamp Chats. Instead of Mullen worrying about having 90,000 fans, he should have been worried about his own team and staff making sure this wouldn't happen. And look what happened. So this should be a lesson for not saying that, Mullen's at 100% at fault. But instead of worrying about fans in the stands, how about you control what you can't control, and that's your players and your staff. Same thing goes for FIU. FIU was already on a 5-hour bus trip heading towards Charlotte yesterday. And they get the announcement that, hey, guess what? There's people you're sitting next to that are positive. You got to head back. Those things, unfortunately, are unfortunate. But once again, coaches and those type of things, they should be able to control that instead of worrying about who's in the stands, how many people, and whatnot. So,
I don't think you can just put that all on the coaches, bro. That comes down to the players. These are 18 to 22-year-old children. They're gonna do children things.
True. No, Jock. The only thing I'm saying is when Mullen comes out and says he wants more fans to attend because he feels like the COVID is kind of like, I guess contained.
That's serious.
That's just my thing. But I understand it. It's teenagers going out. It's a bye week hitting. We can't control everything. That's quite obvious,
But let's be honest. Certain programs are doing better than others at I don't want to say policing their players, but making sure their players understand the severity of the situation. That's the truth.
It's different across the world. Across the country, because it's different areas. Like Florida just opened up, and Orlando has been open for a while now. College town, I'm sure the bars are down there. It's a college town, so the bars are probably open down there. So if those kids stay back home, there's no telling what they're doing off the field. They might not even be going out, but they're 18 to 20-year-old men who want to, they're gonna involve with girls or something like that. You never know. It's as simple as that and as complex as, hey, they not following protocol. But you can't, like Dan Mullen just made that statement heat of the moment. They had just lost the game, so you got to cut them some slack.
No, but Jock, he had said it before as well for South Carolina. That's when I was like, dude, stop pressuring fans to show up.
But you can't fault him if the governor said, hey, you can have full capacity.
Because the governor's an idiot. I'm sorry.
It's a shared responsibility, I think. It's a shared responsibility with this.
It is shared responsibility. Yeah, you can do whatever. Listen, the governor can say whatever he wants, but I don't mean to play Florida against Miami and all that stuff. I'm not throwing that out there. But you think that Hard Rock's going to have a full 65,000 people, even though they can? I don't think so. The fact of the matter is,
Florida wasn't going to do that anyway. Like their AD came out immediately and said we still have protocols in place. Like that's just nonsense.
Yeah.
I do think to Jazz's point though, like you can't control, like Jock's right, you can't control what these kids are gonna do. But I guarantee you, these schools where you're like 30 people test positive and stuff, it's because they're not distancing in practice and meeting rooms. Like if you put a mask on in the meeting room,
you're not gonna be able to distance in practice. That's just unreal.
So not when you're on the field, but like if you're like when you're going to a meeting room, if you're all sitting on top of each other without masks on and one person has it, the whole room's gonna get it now. And so that's where you get those, like, because we had a player test positive too, right? Peyton missed the game.
And Larry Hodges.
How'd the whole team not get it? You make them wear a mask in the meeting room. Like, there's little things you can do to help. There's no perfect solution, and frankly, I'm sure there's programs that are doing everything perfectly, and then they have a massive outbreak anyway. This thing is very, like we need a reminder. This thing's very contagious. We didn't shut the whole world down for no reason.
and it's like you have to say like, well, damn, these kids they're testing positive and they're asymptomatic, so they're not coming to practice saying, "Hey, I'm sick." They're just testing positive. So even if you're doing everything right, we all can catch it. You can be staying in the house, social distancing. It's just that's how it goes. Like it's a virus that. It's like the flu. Once somebody get it at school, the whole school got it. It's just even if you know what I mean. So, like I said, it's too much pressure on the coaches in this right now to make sure those kids are doing what they have to do. And I know, like from being around a team that we had kind of like some off the field problems, like with some of the players. It's very hard. Like this man probably sleeping at night, has his phone on ring because he has to be there to make sure, like, hey. This guy not getting in trouble. You worry about some players more than others, but like I said, most of the time, in my humble opinion, those kids are catching that from girls they're dealing with or somebody they're dealing with outside of football.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So then just one more final thing on a schedule change that just came out. So Florida obviously cannot play tomorrow against LSU. Neither will they play Missouri next week. So that Missouri game has now been moved to Halloween on October 31st. October 31st, and the LSU matchup is now set for October 17th. From October 17th to December 12th, which hurts Florida now because if they want a chance to reach Atlanta, they're not gonna go Tennessee, LSU, and then if they even get that far, still having like a record to reach it. Then they'll face Alabama, which we'll think will be the winner out of the West. So a tough road ahead now.
Yeah, they don't need to worry about that because that's not going to be a relevant problem for them. But
I'm gonna say what
you can't go lose to Texas A&M and then be like, well, let's see if we can beat all these other better teams. Like they're going to drop more games. But also, I don't even know like the playoff committee. Who knows what they're going to do with this match? You're going to have some teams that play 7 games, some that play 12, and I don't even know how you make
every team is eligible to go to the bowl game this year as well too. So
Jock, I find that to be ridiculous because the Big Ten they start playing next week, and you mean to tell me that Ohio State that goes 8-0 can have the opportunity? I know it's money. I know it's money.
Of money, and Ohio State is a big player in this thing, and they should be able to go to the college football playoff. 8 games, or if somebody play 12 games, if they're the better team, they're running through their competition in the Big Ten. They should be in.
All right, 2 more things. Nick Saban has COVID. Also, he's going to coach via Zoom on the sidelines. So she's going to have a big video screen via Zoom. No, I'm just kidding.
SEC. He tested negative. He tested negative twice. If he tests negative
I think it's tomorrow.
Today, if he tests negative today, and he'll be good to coach on Saturday.
Unbelievable. And Bobby Bowden is back home. Recovering from COVID, so that's nice. That's good to see. The old man over there. I've never had anything against that guy. I thought he was a great coach. So good to see that he's recovering and doing well as well. But I'm gonna say something that Danny Gillette wanted to say. He told me on the side. He said, "Look, listen, Manny. Nobody really cares about anything having to do with the SEC or Florida on this specific show."
I do want to see how Miami is now that Miami has opened up a little bit. I want to see if they don't suffer an outbreak, because I just read something like 2 hours ago. They tweeted that like Tootsie's was suing the suitor in Miami to stay open past curfew. So plenty more bars and clubs gonna follow that same suit. And I want to see if the kids are able to stay focused down there.
Putting Danny, University of Miami.
They would never.
Guess what power I have, my brother? Oh, God.
All right, let's get into
I
it.
knew I always liked you doing the producing and not on the actual show. There's a reason you're back there.
Damn.
There's a reason you're back there.
Damn.
Can we get on with it, please? Can we talk Canes and Pitt? Jesus
Oh, my
Christ
goodness.
Almighty!
Bringing the heat, man.
Oh
Jeez.
my!
Hold
God.
on. Let me make that Boston Celtics bet right now. Hold on. Give me just a second.
Friday. It's Friday, man. It's Friday. All right, get out of here, man.
Tomorrow.
Or you can stay. You can stay if you want. I don't care.
I care. Goodbye, Manny.
Canes taking on the Pitt Panthers this weekend after a tough loss against Clemson. Hoping for a bounce back. I think like we've all discussed lately, this is a different Miami Hurricanes team, so we can see them coming back and playing really hard and taking it to Pitt. I want to start off with Vish because we haven't had you on in a couple of shows, man, and talk to me a little bit about what you see going into this game as the Canes take on Pitt. How do you see them responding against them after a big loss to Clemson?
Well, I mean, you said it's not the same Canes team. We're going to find out, right? This is a game that they would normally struggle in, and mail it. It's a noon game after a bunch of primetime games, so I don't think they will. I agree. I don't think it's the same team, but we're going to find out now. It turns out also that Louisville sucks. So, like these wins we were stuffing our chests out at are not great. So Pitt's actually okay. They're 2-2, but both their losses were by 1 point. Their defense is really good. So this is like the good game to have after Clemson because they're good. They're not like terrible, but they're not like so good that we're just gonna get run over. So this is a game Miami should win. But if they mail in the performance or don't show up, they'll lose. So this is a good chance to show that growth. But Clemson, I mean, we all saw that they're just way too good for this version of Miami. So, but Pitt is not. So this is where let's see if we can recover from this because last few years that first loss led to many more and kind of dropping the heads and stuff. So to me that's a big test. And then just more on a tactical level, that D line against our O line is a mismatch for them. So let's see if this O-line can step up and really keep them down because their defense has been playing really well, and that's going to be tough for our offensive line to handle. So to me, that's what I'm looking at. If we can give time to King and get the running game going, I think it'll be a pretty comfortable win. If not, this could be a challenge. And those noon games in Miami just become like wars of attrition, and they can get a little sleepy there. So
yeah, that's true. And
big.
We've been talking about that, Vish, a lot the last week or so. Yesterday, not yesterday, the show a couple of days ago, and also even after the Clemson game. Pittsburgh has a great defensive line, right? Their front four is one of the top front fours in the country. Jock mentioned it, Danny, we've all mentioned it, right? So it's like you said, it's going to be a challenge for the offensive line who didn't play terrible against Clemson. It just they were just outmatched by a better team. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do on that line. There has been a couple of injuries. I don't know if it's anything significant. I know John Campbell went down last weekend. We all saw him go down. I'm not too sure about his injury situation. I know Ja'Kai Clark may have had a little bit of an injury or got nicked up also. Not sure if you've heard of about what's going on with them. Paul, I'll take it to you. I know that you've been looking at what's going on with the Miami Hurricanes with their trench players, right? The offensive line and the defensive line. Have you heard anything about the offensive line, and what do you see going into this game that could kind of be a difference maker for the Miami Hurricanes?
Well, to be honest, I actually have not heard much on Clark or Campbell. I do think that maybe Nelson played a little bit better than Campbell against Clemson, although really Clemson's defensive line kind of overpowered everyone on Miami's offensive line. But it's going to be interesting to see how they respond. I think that they should definitely not take Pittsburgh's defensive line lightly. There's a lot of great guys on that line, including you mentioned it on Tuesday or whatever. I know one of them is the kid Rashad Weaver. Keep an eye on him. He's a local guy. He's 6'5", 280. Definitely play a role, and I think one of the defensive tackles in the league as well. You really want to just see how, like we mentioned before, like how they respond. This is definitely a trap game as I brought up many times before. But this isn't just the thing is this isn't an average team. Like Pittsburgh has talent, especially on the defensive line. And the big question is Miami O line going to respond well? Are they going to give King time to throw or make plays? And I'm kind of just I'm somewhat confident this is a different Miami team. I think that Miami has different leaders on this team this year. With King, Bubba Bold, and even Jalen Phillips. At least from what we've seen in press conferences and how they've expressed their thoughts, there's definitely some alphas in the locker room, and I'm more at ease with hearing how at least with how I feel about that. I do think that it's still going to be. I think what is the line at? Miami's favored by 10 points, I think.
I think it's 10.5.
I think it went up to 13
Did it?
and a half. I'll check.
Yeah, Josh's right. It opened around 10. It went up like 3 or
It's
4
like
points.
13 and a half points.
Then it definitely went up.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
I think they had Pitt only scoring like 14 points in the game or something like that. I was just like, that's kind of disrespectful, but.
Oh yeah, I think that I feel like this will also be if Miami can definitely win this game, then I will definitely not worry as much for the rest of the games because you can kind of tell that okay, they're not just gonna kick the tire, after one loss and call it over like last year and the year before that. So this is definitely going to be a telling tale. I mean, I want to be. I don't know. You just gotta hope. You just gotta hope for the best because what we've seen the past couple of years has just been dismal. It's like that one loss, and then they just kind of give up and think that it's nothing to play for. When really it's only one loss, and it was to the best team in the nation. That team that's been building their program for years. They've had that foundation in for years. So I think this is an opportunity for guys to step up. I really want to see a lot of the freshmen more playing time, like Sam Brooks especially. And some of even the receivers like Keyshawn Smith and Michael Reddy. I really want to see what they're about and kind of just prove that they deserve more playing time because they definitely flashed.
Yeah. Dave, talk to me. I guess something that we want to kind of talk about a little bit is that offense. I know that Kenny Pickett might not play in this game. I know they're talking a lot about the backup quarterback. What if any problems does Kenny Pickett present for the Miami Hurricanes, and will it be tough for them to kind of prepare for a backup quarterback, which, the Canes have had issues sometimes with some backup quarterbacks for some teams, right? They make them look like All-Americans. So what if any issues are going to be presented with quarterback play?
I think the strength of Pittsburgh's offense is definitely their passing game. They're not a real good running team at all. So they're going to look to probably open the game up a little bit with Pickett on the outside. But they're not a strong team in terms of balance. I think you can make Pittsburgh pretty one-dimensional and get them behind the chains in early downs and kind of shut that offense down. They're more of a slug-it-out type of team that leans on their defense a little bit more. So I think you got to force them into mistakes because they're going to look to try to control the game and make some plays on offense. So I think you just have to be consistent on defense with the front four and bringing pressure and getting in his face and getting him out of rhythm early. Because like Vish said, it's a 12 o'clock game. It could be a little sluggish there early. I want Miami to really set the tone on the other side of the ball with their running game. Because last weekend's Clemson, obviously against one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the nation, Miami couldn't get anything going on the ground. So I think if they get ahead early and can sort of lean on the running game and make Pittsburgh one-dimensional, they're going to have a successful day because Pittsburgh's just not that dynamic of a scoring team. They've been in a lot of close games, but they're not somebody who's going to come and blow you out. So I think Miami just needs to step on their throat early and bring a lot of pressure and kind of let the defense have a bounce back game from a sort of a letdown against Clemson mentally. I think they need to be sharp and not play down to the competition because Pitt's a good team, but Miami's the better team. And it's a good barometer game in terms of how far are we above the rest of the pack in the ACC? Is it Clemson and then a drop to Miami and then everybody else? Or is Miami kind of mucked in with the rest of these teams, the Pitts, the North Carolinas, et cetera? Can Miami separate themselves and become the second tier of the ACC and be competing? And games like this are going to really show what they're made of, I think, mentally, more than physically. And Diaz needs to have a bounce back game and really have the team focused and just sort of and come out sharp. No procedure penalties, no, just play a clean game, and you should win pretty handily.
Yeah. Listen, I think that this game, like you said, is going to be that game where we're going to tell if they can do that. So definitely, someone mentions that don't sleep on NC State either. Yeah, NC State's another tough team, another tough ACC program, but I think right now, like Dave said, they're kind of mucked in with everybody else as well. That's a half decent football program. They do tend to win some big games and kind of spoil it for some other teams every once in a while. So yeah, it's always NC State is always a tough football game. So we will face them this year, and so that should be an exciting game. Danny Gillette, I know you've been watching a lot of film on this football team, on the Pitt Panthers, and what do you see from the offensive side of the football that can present a problem with for the Canes, or is it going to be kind of where, hey, the Canes should be able to roll and put enough pressure to cause a lot of turnovers and score some points even on the defensive side?
I will say that the Pittsburgh quarterback has thrown for a lot of passing yards. I believe he was second in the ACC in passing yards. There's nothing on the offensive side that really jumps out at me that would make me say, oh wow, Miami is in trouble." But I do think the corners will need to stay on their toes. I do think they will need to be alert because it's not like they are a one-dimensional team. They can pass the ball and they can beat you if you get lazy. Honestly, to me, it comes down to the defense. I was watching some film on Patrick Jones, the defensive lineman, and he has 7 sacks so far this season. And the Pittsburgh defensive line as a whole has 11 players with at least 1 sack on the season. So they're going to come after Derek King and they're going to come after the offensive line. And another thing I noticed too was they allow just 52 rushing yards per game. And for a team like Miami who have struggled to get their outside wide receivers going, that could be potentially problematic moving forward.
Yeah, no, that's true. You make a good point there, and Jock, I want to go to you on this because I think one of the biggest keys for Miami this game is to get that running game going again. Right, we need to see Cam Harris and the two freshmen kind of get it going again and establish the run game. And of course, we all know that, like you said, Jock, in previous show, Pitt's going to stack the box. Right, they're going to put 8-9 guys. I think going to say beat us on the outside. And it's going to be like that for the rest of the year until we can prove we can do it. So, can you see Cam Harris and the bunch kind of get it going on the tomorrow?
I mean, number one, I think Wiggins or Pope has to have a big game for Miami. Pitt has surrendered, I think, 2 back-to-back 150-yard receivers. The kid last week, I think, caught for like 166 against them. So they give up the big plays. They've been in close games, but I just think it's because the other team has let them stay in the game. Like NC State let them back in the game because they hopped out on them early. And in college football, for some reason, the defensive coordinators get very scared. So they just start just letting teams complete passes. But I do want to see Wiggins and Pope have a good game. I think this is a great game for them. Miami's going to have to rely heavy on the play-action pass just to slow that defensive line down. I know you're going to get a heavy screen game, quick passes out of the backfield because the D-line can disrupt the game like that. They are very disruptive. So I do want that. The inside of the D-line to me, I mean, the inside of Miami's offensive line, the guard, center, and the other guard will have to hold very strong. Because once Pitt start getting that pressure up the middle, then you're going to start seeing all them Pat Narduzzi specials, those blitz packages, and just they have so much variety on the defense. But I think this can be an easy game, but it also can be a game where it's 24-17 in the third quarter and Miami's trailing. Because I feel like the line went up to 13.5 because I don't feel like Pickett's going to play. So I don't think we're going to see him at all. So I just think Miami's defensive line has to take over the game early. Pitt cannot run the football. Do not let them come out and start running the football and get going and stuff like that. Because then you give a freshman quarterback confidence. They get confidence and then they start scoring touchdowns. So I think Miami has a very strong chance to blow the game open, but I also think that they have to set the tone because I feel like it's like if you remember when we played Virginia, I think probably about 3 years ago, after we had lost. I forgot what team we lost to. They came out and I think it was 10-0 Virginia at some point, and Miami never was able to recover. It was a mucky game, bad game. I don't know if you remember. I think it was Bryce Perkins at quarterback. It was kind of like one of those like, this is like, why are we losing this game? So I just think Miami has to punch them in the mouth and just set the tone early. A clean game one. Take some shots early, but tomorrow you're gonna see a lot of screen passes. Like they're gonna be able to hit them with the screen just because how aggressive the D line is.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be that's going to help them spread the field out a little bit. Also, I think you brought up some really good points with D Wiggins and Mark Pope. I think this is the game that you see that if they don't get it going early, you're going to see the young guys play a lot. You're going to see Michael Redding, and I actually expect that's kind of like my dark horse pick of who's going to kind of show out for this game is Mike Redding, which it seems to be the running thing for a lot of people now. Think that he's just going to come out and start, taking over and possibly take over one of the starting jobs. And I can see it. I can see Michael Redding getting a lot of playing time. If you see guys like Wiggins and Pope and even Harley struggle, I can see guys like Keyshawn Smith and Restrepo get a lot of playing time as well. So watch out for that. You're right, Doc.
I think Miami's gonna come out with a heavy play action game tomorrow. Like probably the first play of the game is gonna be play action, and they're gonna try to take a shot just to loosen that defense up. So I expect
and to get the wide receivers kind of going early, right?
Yeah, that's like just open up the game how you would want to win. Like if you're gonna come out passing, get King going early because we have seen he is a rhythm quarterback. Once he starts completing passes, then he's on the roll. He's throwing out of the pocket, running out of the pocket. I know against Louisville early in the season, Louisville is not that good of a team, but it was a good test for Miami. So this is kind of like, I feel like Miami and North Carolina are on the same level. I don't think North Carolina is that much better than Miami. I think they're at the even playing field. So let's see who's going to take that second spot or that third spot between Miami, Notre Dame, and North Carolina. It's going to be a battle between those three teams.
Yeah, definitely. Look, listen, what I want to see is I really want to see dominance from De'Aaron King. And I think that, Jock, you mentioned this, and a lot of us, so I think that this game, he's going to try to prove a point. And he's going to say, listen, I had a bad game. It's my bad. And boom, and he's just going to go off. And I can see him scoring a couple touchdowns with his legs. I can see him throwing for 3 or 4 touchdowns and really kind of dominating the whole entire game. But, and Vish, I'll come back around to you on this. We keep going back to the wide receiver position, and Jock mentioned it. Get these guys, going early. Throw the ball down the field. Run some post. Just get them open. Get them going in the game, right? Even on these screens and bubble passes, bubble screens that they like to throw and all that. You got to get these guys going.
Yeah, and Jock hit the nail on the head multiple times there. But I kind of am in agreement. Like, this is put up or shut up time for these receivers. We're into the 5th game now, and they really haven't done much. I mean, there was last game. I don't think anything was working anyway, but they also didn't step up. There were some jump balls they didn't fight for the ball on. There's definitely if they don't do it now, I think they're gonna start getting benched. I don't think.
They've only made 2 plays all season. Wiggins on the post route against Florida State. Pope against Louisville, I want to say, when he had that nice catch. But that's it. That's the only 2 splash plays we've seen. The other big plays, Cam Harris, Brevin Jordan, Will Malley, and Jalen Knighton. That's it.
Yeah.
Right, and then also like the drops are ridiculous. There weren't that many opportunities against Clemson, but Wiggins still dropped the first down early in the game when it was still somewhat competitive. Florida State, there could have been we killed them, but they dropped like 10 passes in that game. So there's got to be some player accountability too. There, you got to step up and just make plays. You can come to Miami to sit on the sideline, the ball comes your way, catch it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The talent's there. We know these kids are talented. They got to show it though, and they're running out of those opportunities. The other thing David talked about earlier and Jot mentioned too, you got to play cleaner than we've been playing. Too many stupid penalties. How many people are getting ejected this game? It's got to stop at some point. You can't play like that. You can't keep doing that.
Well,
and we can all agree that the targeting rules are enforced unevenly and all that. But definitely on that first drive, Jennings got away with one against Clemson. So maybe the one that Smith got jetted on was BS, but like we still got away with one earlier in the game. Like you just like the coaches aren't teaching Restrepo to stay on the 1 yard line and try to field a bouncing punt. Like he's just doing that. So at some point the players got to step up and just like, all right, I'm gonna own this and take responsibility because King does it, Bolden does it. We need more.
Yeah,
we need the whole team to do it.
No, I agree. Going back to what you said, Vish, on Restrepo and even some of these targeting calls. Gilbert Frierson kind of mentioned it in his press conference a couple days ago, man. He says if we clean up our pre-snap penalties, we saw a lot of film. If we clean up our pre-snap penalties, that Clemson game may be a different, not outcome, but maybe a closer game, a better football game. Coach Lashley and Packey spoke about Restrepo, how they liked his aggressiveness. And that's it's a typical freshman mistake, maybe in that one that he tried to pick up, but the other one that the Clemson player touched, he actually tried to pick it up and make a play. So that's some heads up play by him, but it's still very risky. However, I'm okay with those things. I'm more concerned about the pre-snap penalties that are still occurring, and I'm concerned with Amari Carter and his targeting. He's a dog. He's a dog. He goes out there and he lays the wood, and he's a good football player, but he's got to stay away from making the boneheaded mistakes. Some of them are, some of them not. Okay, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's some that are kind of borderline BS targeting calls, but more times than not, he is going out there and he's trying to hurt someone. It is what it is, but at some point he's going to have to kind of.
Well, it's about being a little smarter. Some penalties are forced and some of them are unforced. And like you said, the pre-snap stuff, just lining up offsides multiple times like that, you just look down the line and the official will tell you to back up. Like that's totally unforced. Like they'll actually tell you, hey, you're offside. They'll signal to you. You can get a check. Like they'll do that for you, and we don't do it. So there's some that we can clean up. There's some that are unforced, but some of those we can clean up. And definitely, like catching the ball is that's what you're there for. The ball hits you, catch it. I don't think that's too much for now.
You're a wide receiver, right? That's your job. Yeah, catch the football. So, or anybody, period. So, listen, guys, I know that we're all going to be, Paul, you're going to be at the game tomorrow, man. Let us know what you see early and often, maybe once you get there and you see what's going on. But I think we're all excited to see Miami play again after that Clemson game because we really want to see what they're about. We want to see how they kind of turn it around and if they step up, and start off hot and go after it. And because if they don't, like you said, Jock, it's gonna be a long day. We may not lose the game, but it's just going to be one of those drag out games.
Why are we?
Why are we in this position? We shouldn't be in this position. Exactly. And so I don't want to see that because it's just going to get annoying because we're going to feel like we're back to, that square one of where, okay, here we go, struggling with a team that's not as good as us after a big loss because we're down and we're not. I just don't want to deal with that. So if it's different, we'll be excited about it.
I think you'll be all right. I think that Miami. I predict them to win. I got it like 31-17. I think Miami comes out. I expect Pitt to come out and play hard as well because they just had 2 back-to-back 1-point losses. So, and the first half is probably going to be a grit and grind game, low scoring in the first half. But I do expect Miami to win by 2 touchdowns, and I do think that the first play of the game will be a play-action pass over the top just to loosen up that defense.
Yeah, I agree.
First play touchdown.
Woo! Wishful thinking, baby. To who though? D. Wiggins? I think it's gonna be.
I got Pope. I think Pope.
Wow.
I think Pope gonna have a big game tomorrow.
That would be something else, man. Let's get into some predictions now. Paul, we'll start off with you, man. What maybe give us some keys to the game and your score prediction.
I say 30-17 Miami. I do think that probably a couple keys I have in the game. One is definitely the penalties. I feel like if they can, they had 15 last week against Clemson. Imagine if they had 5 less. 5 less would give you at least 1 touchdown somehow, somewhere there. And
5 less would make the game 0-0, like in the first quarter, like 2.
Mm-hmm.
True.
It's gonna be a huge difference. And I think second is just overall, just mentally the approach. Are they gonna spend too much time kind of feeling out Pittsburgh, kind of taking them lightly, or are they? I can't think of a better way to put this, but are they pissed off? Are they pissed off about what was on the field last game, and are they ready to just prove that we're not a fluke, that we were ranked 7th at one point? Are we for real? Are we? And I think that if they want to prove even to us too as critics that that they're not going to fall into the trap of the past couple of seasons. That they are a different team, they have different leaders, they're way mature, and that they're going to come out full blazing, and prove that they're for real this year.
Danny Gillette.
For me, I think it's going to be important that King gets the ball out quickly because that Pittsburgh defensive line is going to be coming. The quicker he can get the ball out and the quicker he can get everybody involved in the passing game, I think it will be for the better. And then, just kind of like everybody said, clean up the dumb penalties and boneheaded mistakes. We're in week 5, and this is a team, like everybody has said, that may not be a bunch of world beaters and national champions, but they will capitalize
Off a bad game.
mistakes. Yeah. And secondly, get the outside wide receivers going. Just like I said, I feel like a broken record every single week, but we really need to get these guys going and see what they can do. The running game is great. The tight ends have been awesome, but now we really, really, really need production from those outside wide receivers, or else it could be a long afternoon.
Absolutely, man. Vish.
Yeah, I got us winning by like a touchdown, but I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. So we haven't really talked much about this, but Pitt's offensive coordinator used to be Miami back in
Mark
the day.
Whipple, baby.
Mark Whipple's there, and we can all have an opinion on him, but he likes to be aggressive and throw downfield. Basically ruined Ja'Cory Harris's career doing that by telling him to force the ball in the coverage when he didn't have the arm for it. But so I do think they'll make some plays because frankly I still don't trust their secondary. But I also think we'll force some turnovers. That's just going to get the point totals up on both sides. I kind of agree with what everyone else said about who needs to step up. We got to play cleaner. The way that Miami loses this game is the offensive line just gets overwhelmed and the offense can't get anything going. So as long as that doesn't happen, I think the rest of it, there's points that be had all over the field. Because the difference between Pitt's defense is good, but they're not going to physically overwhelm Miami the way Clemson did. So there's going to be opportunities to score and those receivers got to make plays. And I think our running backs, between the three of them, some of them will, even if it's not consistent, because we've all been saying Pitt's D-line is really good, there'll be pop plays. They'll be able to get some big plays, which against Clemson, there just wasn't that opportunity.
Man,
you made me think gave up a lot of big plays.
You made me think of Spencer Whipple, man. Jesus.
I was at that game, man. That game they put him in.
I think Miami wins, and I think their rival helps them out when Florida State beat North Carolina tomorrow.
Yeah, you know what? You guys brought a big thing up with we always talk about the defensive line and of Pitt. Listen, the last time Pitt had a badass defensive line, we did okay. With a crappier offensive line. So I think that for me, it's the running game. Get the running game going. If Cam Harris can get it going and Knighton and Chaney, I think that's going to be huge. Of course, like everybody else, we all want to see the wide receivers play hard and start to make big plays down the field, and not even down the field, but even intermediate passes. Just catch the damn football, man, and either score or get some yards after the catch. Just figure it out, right?
Hey, if they listening, for every catch, Jazz gonna take a shot tomorrow. If y'all score.
Yes, listen there, D. Wiggins, Mark Pope, Mike Harley. I don't care who it is.
Hey, can I get my game pick?
It could be Marshall Few. I don't care. Just catch the damn football, man.
What's your game pick, Manny?
What is
game
it, man?
pick? Is Tony Dorsett playing in this game?
No. Not the last time I checked, Tony Dorsett's not playing.
Man,
not Marino either.
Man, listen. It shouldn't even be a contest. Let's be honest here. It shouldn't even be a contest whatsoever. It should be Miami at least.
No. You can't.
Well,
say
because
that.
of the performance of last week.
It's a 12 o'clock game, brother.
I know it's a 12 o'clock game, but if your offense is good as we've seen in, listen, I know last week it's Clemson. It's the number one team in the damn country for a reason. But if they are who we think they are, they should be able to move the ball. Now, if they're going to be consistent running it, that's another question because, as you guys said, the wide receivers need to be able to step up. But I do see Miami at least scoring a 40 burner here. So I'd say Miami 42, Pittsburgh 24-27.
No.
I'm right under. I was right under 40. I was thinking more like 38-21 or something like that. So
I just feel that the defense towards the end, they'll get like a pick six or something like that to just shut the game out.
that would be nice. Yeah, that would be nice.
be good.
Maybe another block kick would be nice too. I don't care, man. We didn't talk about that enough, but that's pretty big, man. 3 block kicks against the number 1 team in the country. That was kind of big. So special teams is starting to play a little bit better as well on that end. And we gotta learn how to catch the football and punts. That's it. Aside from that, we'll be good to go. Thank you guys for coming on. Tomorrow, 11:30 pregame show. Anybody's welcome to join. Jazz Santana, Paul Austria, Jock Givens, Danny Gillette, and my boy Vish, and of course David Eversole, who was on a little earlier. Thank you, Manny Chang, for producing it. We'll be back tomorrow at 11:30. Go Kings.